Hi, everybody. Grandpa Bob here. I noticed when I log turn came on first, the chat box, someone was already in there, had already said hi. I don't know how that happens. I'm not live yet. I'm not complaining. I think it's pretty cool. I'm just curious as to how that works. So anyhow, how's everybody? I hope everybody's doing okay. I'm feeling pretty good. Had a good week. Um, I've got oh, here this guy, whoever this is, Elato, is saying, "I'm good." Yeah, you are. You're good. Okay. So, as some of you know, I put out a post with a kind of a poll asking everybody to vote on a couple of terms that I might put on a T-shirt. And so one of them is Tingletown, and the other just said Tingley. And I got a big turnout. I was really surprised. I was real happy. There's about 200 people so far who voted. And so far, Tingleytown seems to be leading by quite a bit, probably 60 to 40. Um, and so I'm really, really going in the direction of Tingleytown. I like that idea. And just to keep everybody up to date, and I guess I'll make a post of this after we finish live streaming. But I want y'all, those of you who come here to chat with me and each other, I want y'all to get first word. And I have had some designs created for some t-shirts and some mugs and some baseball caps. And that's probably about all I'll do right now. But as time goes on, depending on what kind of success I have with this, I'll add new items, um, especially as the seasons change. As it gets hot, I'll probably add some tank tops. And then, of course, in the fall, when it starts to cool off, I'll put some sweatshirts and hoodies on there. But it's going to be pretty cool. I'm really excited about it because the products are going to appear directly underneath the video. If you click on a video, you'll see my face and whatnot. But right underneath, the YouTube has what they call a shelf, and so there'll be a list of different products with a little image of each one right there for you to click on and just take a look at. You certainly don't have to buy anything, but you can look and see what you think. I'm really excited about the logos. I really am. Excuse me. I'm going to change the banner on my homepage. It's going to look pretty spiffy. And so the same theme, I've got a logo that can go on the front, the front left chest, and then on the front and on the back, and just a whole bunch of really neat stuff. I think it really looks good. So I'm excited. And we'll probably start, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks from now. I still have to get a couple of things done. I have to um, send the electronic files to the manufacturer so that they can make the make the imprint. And after that, I have to make a sample purchase. So I'm going to buy a couple of three different things for myself and my wife. And so after I get those samples in, I'll uh, I'll start wearing one of them so you can see what it looks like before I even go live. YouTube has to look at the products and make sure that everything meets their specifications before I can go live on it. So I'm figuring a couple of weeks, but I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm excited about it. And as usual, I really want to encourage you guys to give me your honest to goodness feedback. It's important for my success and for your happiness, that I know what you guys are thinking and what you like and what you don't like. Okay. So don't worry about hurting my feelings. If you look at the logo and you don't like it or whatever, you think the prices are too expensive, that's fine. Just say so, because some of these things I can adjust. Now, I made a choice. The company that I'm buying from, I made a choice. They give you two choices in terms of quality and price on the products. So they have a lower end quality that's kind of more like you would get in some kind of a giveaway. The t-shirts are not very heavy, or they're flimsy. Okay. And so yeah, I chose not to do that. I wanted to have good quality. And so I've chosen the more premium products. Um, but I'm going to keep the prices down as much as I possibly can. Some of these brand names are not names that I'm familiar with, but apparently some of the younger folks are, and I can't honestly tell you right now. There's one that's something like 44 color. Does that ring a bell to anybody? Something like 44 color. I'm not sure. Uh, Not sure, but yeah, COLOUR, color. Apparently, that's a pretty well-known brand name. So look at these things, okay? And I'll probably once I'm up and running with it, my hope is to have an occasional contest or promotion where I give away a free T-shirt or a free mug or a free hat, something like that. So yeah, keep your eyes open. Now, the people who have already joined up as members, of course, I'm going to have to give them first consideration with all of these things, since they've already paid to be a member. Um, I'll give them a little preference, but nobody's going to get left out. I promise you, no one will be left out. So, with that, let me look over some of these messages, okay, and see what you guys are up to. Um, I don't like them. I don't like them. Not Netanyahu. Okay. Um, let's see. Just sorry, Bob. Just being weird, and that's cool. Be as weird as you want. That's fine. I think we've heard of that. I've heard of that brand. Okay, so you have. All right, that's good. That's good. Um, in the post, in the live post, um, I talked about the fact that I'd be willing to talk about some vagus nerve stimulation. Does that sound like a topic y'all would be interested in hearing about tonight? I can certainly go on about that and give you uh, some more information about vagus nerve stimulation. Um, so, what would you like to know about vagus nerve? You can see the last couple of posts or videos that are posted have been. One of them was very strongly about uh, vagus nerve. I'm sorry. I started calling it vagus a long time ago, and I know that's not right. It's vagus nerve. Um, so I mentioned it in the first video, and this second video that just came out today, a couple hours ago, I mentioned it again. So let me say, I'll just make some general comments about it. Um, And if you have more detailed questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. But it seems to me that a lot of what ASMR is about, aside from the fact that it makes a lot of people feel tingly, um, a lot of ASMR is kind of the same concept as vagus nerve stimulation. We're looking for ways to stimulate a person's vagus nerve. And why do we want to do that? Well, the simple answer is that the vagus nerve is part of our parasympathetic nervous system. It's one of 12 cranial nerves, and it travels down the sides of our head, down our neck, and then comes down, wraps around our heart, our kidney, our livers, kidneys, liver, and stomach. And it's kind of like an information highway. Okay. It the things that are going on in our body, um, the vagus nerve transmits that information up to our brain and vice versa. Okay. So it carries important information. Hey, Lotto, welcome. Welcome to Wired, buddy. Thank you for joining up. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So we got a new member. Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Um, so yeah, it's an information highway. And what happens is that when our body is at what they might call homeostasis, which means it's just kind of even, it's not high, it's not low, it's just at a baseline normal state. The vagus nerve tells our brain that. And it tells the brain, of course, obviously it doesn't use words, but the genetics of it are such that it tells the brain that the body, the person is safe. There's no danger. There is no danger in their immediate area. They're safe. And when the vagus nerve transmits that information up to the brain gets it and says, oh, okay, so we don't have to be in fight or flight. We don't have to be anxious. We don't have to be worried. We can just relax because the vagus nerve is telling me everything's fine. Okay. So that's kind of in a nutshell the way that works. But sometimes the vagus nerve gets kind of understimulated, even when there's no danger, no real danger. Okay. Sometimes our minds create a sense of danger. Our thinking leads us to believe that we are either in immediate danger or we are going to be in danger soon. And conditions are not safe. The brain, the body tells the brain things are not good here. And so what happens then is that the body reacts to danger. And it does that in a lot of different ways that are very interesting. I'll give you a few examples. Some of these examples you may not be aware of. Everybody understands fight or flight, right? So let's see. So how can we stimulate it to get out of constant fight or flight? Well, I'm going to tell you, okay? But before I do that, let me tell you some of the bodily physiological processes that are taking place that you don't even know about, okay? So here's one. The body, through evolution, has learned how to protect itself as best it can from attack, from physical attack. Okay. That's when all of this fight or flight business started, when we were cavemen and women, and we needed to be able to survive an attack from a predatory animal. So our bodies developed and learned that certain things helped us to survive an attack. One was that our body would produce adrenaline, which is kind of like jet fuel for our body. It just gives you a super jolt of energy. And so we get a shot of adrenaline, and we get cortisol, which helps with our energy levels. Our pupils dilate, and we get kind of what you might call tunnel vision. Okay, when you're being hunted by an animal, it's crucial that you be able to focus on it. And so your vision narrows. You're not looking from side to side and being distracted and seeing what's going on. You can't afford to do that. You have to stay locked in on the animal that's tracking you. So we get tunnel vision. That's kind of where that started, tunnel vision. Our breathing gets shallow and fast. Okay. Um, Something else that happens that I'm sure you're not really aware of, but our blood gets thicker. Our blood actually thickens. And if you think about it, that makes sense, doesn't it? If you're in danger of being attacked by a lion or a tiger or whatever it is, and it's something that can bite you and take big chunks of you, um, your body has changes to account for that by making your blood thicker so you don't bleed to death, not as fast. Okay. So you don't bleed out. Your blood gets thicker and it stays thickened for about an hour after the danger is past. Okay. So your heart rate changes, you get a shot of jet fuel, your blood gets thicker, and your blood not only gets thicker, guess what else it does? Your blood tends to, not completely, of course, but to a degree, your blood tends to recede from your extremities. The blood pools around your vital organs. In the places where you have to have blood in order to survive. Okay. So the blood moves away from your hands. It comes away from your extremities to a degree, because if that lion bites your hand off, that's probably not going to kill you. But if it bites into your stomach and tears your stomach out, then that's got a good chance of killing you, right? So our feet and our hands, the blood recedes. And it also recedes. Now, this is an important point. It also recedes from our brain, and it recedes in the opposite order of importance to our survival. Okay. So I'm sure most everybody understands that the back of our brain is the oldest. The brain stem is the oldest part of our brain. This is what happened first. This is what developed first. Okay. So this part of the brain is actually the most important part. This is what keeps us alive, keeps our heart ticking, our chest, our lungs breathing. It sends out all of the essential signals to our body that keeps us alive. If something happens to the back of your brain, you're dead. Okay? It's just that simple. You're dead. The middle part of our brain developed next. That middle part is the part that has to do with our feelings and our emotions, our feelings, all those types of things. Okay. So you can live without that too. You'd be kind of a zombie, but you can live without it. Not very well, but you could. And now that brings us to the newest part of our brain, and the part of our brain that, in terms of life, is actually the least important, and that's our prefrontal cortex. Okay. This is the part of our brain that makes decisions, that makes executive decisions, that makes choices. Um, this is a very important part of our brain, but we can absolutely live without it. And I know you've heard of people having frontal lobotomies. Well, that's what that is. They take out a big part of a person's prefrontal cortex so that they calm down. And so you'll see people who are, I don't know if they do them anymore, but at one time they did frontal lobotomies for people who were violently insane. Okay. So what happens is the blood in our head starts to recede just a little bit from our prefrontal cortex. And of course, all of this is registering in our brain. our brain is picking up these signals that the blood is receding and it's telling itself, danger, danger, danger. There's got to be danger, imminent danger right in front of me. Otherwise, my brain wouldn't be acting this way. Okay. And so what happens is you get, because the blood flow has thickened and the blood flow has receded, you're not getting as much oxygen as you should in order to be in peak performance. So basically, when that oxygen recedes from that frontal cortex, if your brain is a computer, it's like part of it going offline. Your brain is not operating at maximum efficiency. Now, I want you to think about something. I know everybody by this time in your life has experimented this. Um, has experienced this. You get in an argument with somebody and you're mad and you're really mad and the heart's pumping and you're in fight or flight because you sense or you perceive that there's danger of some sort and you get angry and you go into fight or flight. And so what happens? You're arguing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And all of a sudden you realize, what we're saying doesn't make any sense. This is stupid. What are we even arguing about? Then you stop arguing and then you go away. And an hour later, you're thinking about the argument. And you go, why didn't I think to say that? I wish I had remembered. I wish I had said that. And you didn't. The reason you didn't, the reason you weren't thinking clearly is because your brain was in fight or flight and you didn't have a sufficient oxygen flow to your brain to be at peak performance. It's just that simple. Okay. So now you know partially what happens when we go into fight or flight. Oh, by the way, the blood getting thicker. If you think about it, people who live very chaotic lives, there's always chaos. They're always angry. There's always something going on. They don't tend to live as long as other people. They tend to have heart attacks and strokes more because throughout the course of their life, their blood is thicker than everybody else's, and so it can clot more easily. So it's very long term, it's dangerous to your health. Okay. So let's see. What does the vagus nerve have to do with that? Well, it's got a lot. Okay. Remember what I said. The vagus nerve carries information. Most of it is chemical, of course, chemical and electrical information to the brain that the brain interprets and says, oh, okay, we're not in trouble anymore. We're not, the danger is past. We're not in trouble. We're not going to get hurt. We're safe. So I can relax. And that's what your body starts to do. So how do you tell your brain that everything's cool? It's okay to relax. How do you tell it that? You can say the words, but if you don't really believe them, it's not going to help much. What you can do is stimulate the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is what's carrying all of that important information up to your brain. And you can provide it with more information. And that's exactly what vagus stimulation is all about. Deep breathing. Let's take deep breathing because it's one of the very easiest things you can possibly do. And what's happening when you breathe in, maybe to the count of 4, hold it for a second, exhale to the count of 6, you're increasing the oxygen flow in your chest, in your blood. And when you increase that oxygen level, your vagus nerve picks up on that and it tells the brain, hey, we're coming back online. Here comes the oxygen. The blood is starting to thin out. Your blood is coming back into the front of your brain. Everything is cool. You can relax. The danger is past. Okay. So that's that's one of the big benefits to deep breathing. It takes a while. It doesn't happen, just by breathing in a couple of times. You really have to focus on it and do it for a while. But eventually your brain gets the message and you can help it along. Actually, deep breathing is an excellent way to stimulate the vagus nerve, but it's certainly not the only. There are about 8 different ways that you can do it, some of which are very practical and some of which not so much. Okay. One of the best, well, actually, the best thing a person can do to stimulate their vagus nerve is physical exercise. And what happens, think about it for those of you who exercise, and just about everybody at some point has done something physically challenging. We always feel better afterwards. We don't really want to go to the gym. We don't really feel like running today or whatever it is, but we do it. And when it's all done, we feel 100 times better. We feel relaxed. We have a sense of contentment, of well-being. Everything's good. You're energized. You have more energy. That's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it? You'd think after exercising real heavily that you'd be exhausted, but you're not. Your body is working all kinds of magic, and you're good. You're good. You're good to go. So exercise is the main stimulator, and what it does, the exercise. Now, I can't explain to you how this happens. I don't really know. I'm sure it's all up here in our head, as most everything is. Um, but the heavy exercise causes our brain to produce small amounts of dopamine and serotonin. And that's what provides that sense of well being. It's a reward for doing the hard work. You get a reward. You get a little shot of dopamine, and boy, do you feel better. Okay. So you feel relaxed, calm, content. And that's what everybody's looking for. I don't know if that answers your question, Ria. How can we stimulate it to get out of constant fight or flight? Well, I'm giving you a list here of things you can do. One of the other ones that you can do is humming. For some reason that I can't explain, for some reason the vagus nerve likes vibration. And if you think about it, that makes sense, doesn't it? Think about how what's the right word? How we respond to music. And music is nothing but vibrations. It's energy, vibration, energy that hits our eardrum, and we translate it into emotions. Okay. So music can make you cry. It can make you laugh. It can make you happy. Music is an incredible, incredible thing. And it's all vibrations. So if you want to, in that video I did a lot of that's kind of a chant, okay? And that's what the maybe the Buddhists and the Hindus and some earlier Eastern religions figured out. They might not have known the physiological explanation for what was happening, but they knew something was happening. They knew when they sat in a community and chanted, over time, it had a very, very calming effect on them. So anytime, if you're in a place where you can do it without people looking at you like you're crazy, chant. Take some deep breaths, and then that'll work. It will work. Okay. So there are other things. Meditation helps. Meditation really is not much more than mindfulness. um, trying to discipline your brain to stay right here, right now, because this is the only reality that there is. The past is a memory, it no longer exists other than in your head. And even those memories are fading. The future doesn't exist, it hasn't even happened yet. The only thing that's real is this instant, this moment. And if you look around your environment, literally, look around, check it out, and ask yourself, am I in any danger right now? Right this instant, am I in any danger? Is my safety threatened? Is there someone or something here that wants to harm me? And if the answer is no, then you don't have any reason to be anxious. There is no reason to be anxious. Anxiety exists simply as a result of thinking about the future and speculating and wondering what might happen. And maybe it's evolution, I don't know, but humans are wired to think negatively about the future. We don't generally spend our days thinking about all the good things that are probably going to happen to us. We just don't. We think about all the things that could go wrong and how can I prepare myself? How can I make sure I don't get caught off guard? Okay. So that's what we do, and that creates anxiety. It's this mistaken belief that we have convinced ourselves, and our brain tells us that we are in danger. New York, thank you. Thank you very much. Love you back. Thank you. So uh, that's quite a generous membership there. I really appreciate it. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce your handle. It looks like New York Finance. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me, okay? But at any rate, I appreciate it, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you. So, um, yeah, anxiety is a figment of your imagination. It's that simple. And part of it is based on the fact that we have a lot of, and this depends on your levels of self esteem, how you see yourself in the world, how you value yourself. Um, that amount of esteem that we associate with ourselves, self esteem, self value. Um, if your self value is high, then you have a tendency to be more optimistic in the world. You have fewer what they call cognitive distortions, which are simply mistakes in thinking. They're thought processes that manifest in our behavior. So the most prominent cognitive distortion is perfectionism. It's the most common one. And it kind of plays out by saying, um, I have to be perfect. Everything I do has to be perfect. It has to be number one. And if it's not perfect, it's worthless. And it has to be perfect because if it's not, if I take on a project and it's not done perfectly, people are going to look at me and they're going to talk. They're going to whisper. They're going to say, you know what? He's not as good as we thought. She's not as smart as we thought she was. Look at this project. It's really not very good. And so the person who has low self esteem takes that one step further and says, you know, if people find out how flawed I really am, they're going to leave me. They are going to abandon me. And in our world, we are mammals. In our world, when we're babies, just like wolves and you name it, whatever other mammals. Um, if we're abandoned, we die because we don't know how to feed and take care of ourselves when we're born. We are actually born prematurely. Our skull hasn't even finished forming yet because the brain is going to keep growing. So when we come out of our mother's womb, we are 100% dependent on her for life. Okay, and so if um, if she's not steady, if she's not dependable, if she doesn't give you the nurturing and care that you deserve, you incorporate that into your being as an infant as a signal that there's something wrong with you. Because a mother wolf would not nurture a damaged cub wolf. It wouldn't, because that's dangerous for the pack. Um, they leave the wolf to die, basically. That's the hard reality of it. And so, as a mammal, we have that primitive instinct ourselves. If I'm defective, nobody will want me. Everybody will abandon me, and I'll die. And that's the root cause of people's anxiety. They have the mistaken belief that they have to be perfect so that people don't see their imperfections. Okay. And so we work triple time to make sure other people don't see what we believe, that we are defective in some way. So think of how hard life is. Think of how hard you have to work day in and day out to keep up that front, of being, I got it all together, man. I really got my act together. Or the opposite is my self esteem is so bad, and I know that I'm so incompetent, I'm just not even going to try. If I don't try, I can't fail. And that way, nobody will know. They might think I'm lazy and unmotivated, and okay, but they won't know how defective I really am. So perfectionists show up in two opposite ways. You got the one person who is going to kill themselves trying to get things perfect, and they drive everybody around them crazy. Okay. And the other is the one who doesn't even try. Now they look completely different because their behaviors are different, but the psychological motivation for both of them is exactly the same. If people don't really know me, they won't leave me. Okay. And of course, those beliefs about being unlovable or stupid or incompetent or ugly, all of those beliefs are wrong. They are what we call negative core beliefs. It's what you believe about yourself, but it's not true. Everybody else in the world understands that it is impossible to be perfect. And nobody expects you to be perfect. Nobody, only you. You are your own worst enemy. So keep that in mind, okay? That takes work and it takes time to really get on track with that idea. It is okay to be average. Okay. And there's a lot of crazy sounding expressions uh, that kind of go along with that. And one that I really love, and this blows people's minds when I say it, but anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. Okay. How many times have you ever heard anybody say that? Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. Okay. Well, uh, what does that mean? It means if a project has value, do it because you may not do it perfectly. It may fall short of perfection, but it still has value. Okay. We don't live in a black and white world. That's what perfectionists think. It's either perfect or it's worthless. Black and white, black and white. You're either good or you're bad. No in between. No in between. Okay. Living in the middle requires thought and work. It's nuanced and it's where reality lives. Okay. The more you stay in the middle, the more you accept what you think are your imperfections, the happier you'll be, the less anxious you'll be. Okay. So let me catch up on some of these chats. Okay. It looks like you guys been busy. So where'd you go? My name is Naif, pronounced like the word knife. Oh, okay. Knife. My name is New York Knife. Is that close? Knife is a sick name. Yeah. Did you choose it? Was it given? Yeah. It's an Arabic name. And no, my grandma chose it for me. Cool. That's so cool. Grandma chose a cool name. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that great? I have, oh, that's Arabic. Okay. I have a Persian friend from Afghanistan. And of course, she speaks Farsi. She's not Arabic. So I don't know if she'll know that or not, but I'm going to run it past her to see what she has to say. All right. What else? What advice do you have for someone who wants to become a psychologist? Well, that's a good question. Um, it depends on what you have in mind, what you want to do. Okay. Understand that times have changed. It used to be a long time ago that psychiatrists did therapy. And everybody remembers the picture of somebody laying on a sofa and the psychiatrist sitting in a chair behind them, right, taking notes. Well, there's not much of that anymore. Okay. Um, that was Freudian. Freudian. Okay. And it took years and years. It was called psychoanalysis. Okay, it was the type of therapy. It took years, years, and you dove really deeply into a person's psyche, into their uh, archetypical understandings, images, and things of that nature. But we got away from that. Insurance is responsible for a lot of this. Okay, so what happened was psychiatrists started to realize they could make more money by and see more patients by just writing prescriptions. So they might see you at first for half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that, to come up with a diagnosis, maybe, maybe not. And they would write you a prescription for whatever medication you wanted, or they would refer you to a therapist. But they didn't do therapy themselves. Okay. So psychologists came along. Some psychologists do therapy, psychotherapy. Most don't. Most psychologists are involved in testing, performing diagnoses and testing people's mental capabilities and functioning. Okay. It's very there. They have to become experts at tests and understanding how tests are constructed and how to interpret them. So some psychologists do therapy, but for the most part, they don't. For the most part, they're involved in testing. So that leaves people who are what they call licensed clinical social workers and licensed professional counselors. And those two groups do the lion's share of therapy with clients. Okay. They can't write prescriptions, but they usually work in hand with someone who does. Okay. So a psychiatrist might say, okay, I want you to take this medicine for your anxiety, but you also have to be in therapy because we can't give you this medicine for the rest of your life. Um, we need to work with a therapist to help you overcome whatever's causing the anxiety in the first place. Okay. So, LCSW, licensed clinical social worker, and LPC, licensed professional counselor, that's what they do. Okay. They do the actual therapy and they report to the psychiatrist and let them know how the clients are doing. All right. So when you say, what do you have for someone? What advice do you have for someone who wants to become a psychologist? Um, my first piece of advice is for you to really explore the whole field. Okay, because I just gave you a thumbnail version of how it all breaks out. There are plenty of other responsibilities that psychologists have, psychiatrists, and therapists. So you need to explore all of those areas and see what makes the most sense to you. Okay. Um, Most people who want to get into this field have a very strong sense of um, empathy and caring and desire to be of help to others. Um, you have to be able to relate to people to be a good therapist. If you can't relate, if you can't bond with people, you're not going to make it as a therapist. You might still be a good psychologist, I don't know, but you have to have pretty good people skills. You have to be pretty intuitive. You have to understand what makes people tick. And as I've said before, one of the best ways to learn about other people and what makes them tick is to learn about yourself. Understand yourself, and you will automatically understand most of the other people. Okay. Everybody has triggers. Remember, there's no perfection. There is no one walking this planet who has not experienced anxiety and depression. No, no one, unless they just don't have, part of their brain. Um, it's not unusual to have some anxiety. It's not unusual to have some depression. But when it takes over and um, it affects the quality of your life more days than not and longer for each day than not, then it's a problem. Then it has to be addressed. Okay. But remember, everything is in degrees. Everything is in degrees. You're not going to find anybody who's baseline, even keeled 24/7, 365. That just does not exist. Everybody is going to have up days and everybody's going to have down days. Okay. There's no shame in that. None. And that's where people get hung up. They think they're not, people with low self esteem think they're not entitled to have some of those feelings. They can't show other people that they're annoyed or depressed or anxious. They don't think they have the right. It's not safe. They can't let other people know what's going on because if they do, the other people will devalue them and won't think highly of them and will leave them. So we create this isolation inside of our own head because we don't feel like it's safe to be honest with other people about how we really feel. Okay. It's a trap. It's a terrible trap. It's a horrible place to be. Nobody wants to be there. Okay. So I don't know if that has helped you or not. What advice do you have for be a psychologist? I hope I hope that kind of helps. Okay. Um, let's see what else we got here. Hi from the UK. I just stumbled across your channel about 20 minutes ago. I'm at university and I've been struggling with anxiety and perfectionism. I feel like I've found this live at the right time. Well, you may have. Okay, you may have. You have to ask yourself, what are you anxious about? And don't settle for the first answer. Your first answer might be, well, I'm anxious, I'm going to fail this test, and that's going to affect my grades. Okay. That's the obvious answer. Okay. But it's not the real answer. The real answer goes much deeper. Don't ever stop at the first answer. That's just the easy one. What you're really afraid of is that you will be exposed. People will see you for what you think you are. Okay. And undoubtedly, you don't think too highly of yourself. Otherwise, you wouldn't be anxious. You would know that you're okay. Whether you make an A, a B, or a C, you as a person are okay. Your grades are not who you are. Okay. They're not. And anybody who has any intelligence at all understands that. Most people can see past those things to see the goodness inside of you. The problem is you don't see it. Okay. And that's the tragedy. So, yeah, if you're anxious and you're a perfectionist, it means you have some self-esteem issues. And you've got to become aware of what they are. Find somebody to help you, a therapist, read some self-help books, um, and work on overcoming those misbeliefs. Okay. Um, there was a great book out years ago. I don't know if I can really, maybe I won't recommend it. Yeah, I won't. Yeah, never mind. So you've got to find out what your erroneous, mistaken beliefs are. It's nice if you know where they came from, but it's not critical. Um, and then you need to understand or learn what you have to do to change those thought patterns. Okay. And that takes work. It takes time and it takes work, and it does not happen overnight. Okay. But you got to remember life is a process, it's a journey. Your perfectionism wants you to be all better just like that. And that's not going to happen. So you have to be patient with yourself. Be patient. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. So you understand that difference. You want to be a therapist. Okay. Um, I would think, if you feel motivated to be a therapist, then that's fantastic. The world needs therapists. In this day and age, we are just so overloaded with people who are experiencing anxiety. This is a very anxiety provoking time we live in, and we need therapists, tremendous need. One thing I will say, if you are going to be, there's lots of elements to being a therapist. One is a phenomenon called transference and countertransference. You have to be very aware of that possibility taking place when you're with a with a client. So the best way to do that and to be the most help is for you to have done your own therapy. You need to have spent some time in therapy yourself, talking about your issues and becoming clear and accepting of who you are first, so that you can be on solid ground, solid footing when clients bring you problems that you might find upsetting and feel like you can't help them or feel like you don't like them. You need to know why you're having those reactions. So the best way to become a good therapist is to have been in therapy. So I highly recommend that to you. Okay. Uh, all right. Now, if you want to know the best way to handle procrastination when I have an important exam in less than a month, wow, less than a month's a long time. Some people, they just love to procrastinate. They love it because it gives them the opportunity to cram, to create crisis. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for the adrenaline, the anxiety. They're looking for that rush that says, oh my God, my back's against the wall now. I don't have any choice. I've got to cram, cram, cram. And they do, and they pass. And that gives them a tremendous sense of satisfaction. Okay. Look at me. I put everything off to the last minute and I crammed, I busted my butt, and I passed. I did it. I'm so proud of me. But you know, if that's your sauce, go for it. But otherwise, you have to ask yourself why you procrastinate. What is being served? What is the secondary motive for procrastinating? Are you doing it because it gives you an excuse if you do fail? Are you procrastinating because basically you're bored with the subject and you just don't want to? Um, are you afraid to find out how smart you really are? What would happen if you didn't procrastinate? What would happen if you really buckled down and studied and took care of all that business in advance and went into the exam fully prepared? What would happen? Would you be prepared for making an A plus? Would you be good with that? A lot of questions to answer there. And it's really difficult to give any kind of solid advice just based on a chat question. I really have to know you much better in order to answer that. Now, one thing else you have to take into consideration: um, procrastination is a real common characteristic of ADHD. Okay, people with ADHD have a very difficult time organizing their day and their week. They have a hard time staying with it. They get derailed very easily, very easily. So you might have to ask yourself, do you exhibit other symptoms of ADHD? Um, those are all questions that I'm afraid you're probably going to have to do your own research to come up with the answers. Okay, but procrastination, quite if there's no other reason, procrastination can be viewed as a form of self-sabotage. Okay, um, if you think you can stall on studying and then maybe fail, then that kind of, for somebody who has low self-esteem, that kind of acts as proof, doesn't it? See, I knew I couldn't pass this test. I'm just too stupid. Of course, you didn't really prepare for it either. So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think I'm stupid. I think I'm incompetent. I think I'm lazy. So I'm going to prove it. I'm just not going to study. And that'll be my proof. You can see that that's crazy thinking, right? But that's the way some people think. You need somebody else who has more clarity into your situation to comment on that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Hey Pops, I just wanted to say I just came about your channel. It's awesome. Been struggling with anxiety and just now saw this and almost immediately forgot about any issues. Good. Well, you're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. All right. Milk Yo Long, that's mandatory in Germany if you want to become a therapist. Yeah, good, good. Penelope Pepalata, cool, landed on the live. Great channel. Love from Great Britain. Thank you. Love back to you. ODB, are you retired? What did you do for a living before retirement? Well, Mr. ODB or Miss O, yeah, I guess it's Mr. ODB. I have had a very colorful work history. Okay, let me put it that way. Remember, I'm a therapist. Okay, and I've been a therapist for 10, 12 years now. I only work one day a week now. I'm basically retired. But I had my own issues, and I've talked about them in previous live streams. Um, Alcoholic, uh, real heavy drinker, very, very low self esteem. Um, I made a lot of really poor choices in my life. Okay. And luckily, I'm kind of a late bloomer and I've overcome most of that. I'm not saying I don't make a mistake from time to time, I do. But I've worked as a federal law officer. I investigated mail fraud. I've worked for the postal service as a manager and as a just a letter carrier. Um, I worked as an actor for a short while. You know, I did a lot of character modeling. Um, Worked as an extra on some television shows, things like that. I had my own chocolate business. My wife and I bought some equipment and we learned how to process chocolate and make candies. Um, God, what else? I've done a million other things. I had my own lawn management service. It goes on and on. I've been working since I was about 12, 13. Had a letter route, letter carrier. I mean, a mail newspaper route. Okay. I worked one summer pouring terrazzo floors. That was a trip. It was one of the hardest jobs I've ever had in my life. And when that summer was over, I knew I was going to college and I was going to graduate. There's no way I was going to work that hard the rest of my life. So, yes, I am retired, basically. And now I have this YouTube channel to add to the resume. And I'm loving this. I'm just having a ball with this. I just can't tell you how much fun it is to interact with all you guys. I just love it. Okay, I thought you spoke a lot like me. Yeah, right. Yeah, we all kind of have the same language, don't we? All, every profession has its own jargon, so to speak. So, okay, it's very snowy here. How is it wherever you live? Okay, I'm gonna plead ignorance here. Please forgive me. Um, I don't for sure recognize your flag, the country for your flag. I want to say it's somewhere up in Scandinavia. Is that right? So, Norway. Yes. Okay. So I was right. All right. It's not snowy here. Our winter really pretty much, I'm in Virginia, Virginia Beach, right on the coast. And we have usually very mild weather. It gets cold in the winter, but not long. And it was 70 today. It's going up to about 75 tomorrow. So our winter, for the most part, is already over. The hardest weather for me is in the summer when it's 95 degrees out and it's 95 relative humidity and it's miserable. You can't breathe. The air is so wet and heavy. So yeah, let's see what else we got going on here. All right, love from Norway. You help my OCD so much. Okay, good. Good to know. Norway. Any advice for someone postpartum? Well, it depends on how long it's been going on. Postpartum can be short-lived or it can carry on, right? I don't know how you feel about medications, but if you are not opposed to them, you might go see your family doctor or go see a psychiatrist and tell them what you're dealing with. Tell them your symptoms and see what they have to say. Okay, postpartum has to be taken very seriously in it, and if it's severe, it can be very aggravated and go on for quite a while. You don't want that. You don't want that. Okay, um, a little a little postpartum depression. Okay, that's not that unusual, but if it carries on, you got to get help. Okay, do not try to handle it all by yourself. Okay, just don't. Get some help. All right. Yeah, Virginia's great. Yeah, come on down someday. Norway. All right. Okay. Well, this has been a good session. I did a lot of talking tonight, didn't I? Um, if you were to recommend some places to visit in America, where should I go? My trip will be in 4 or 5 years if it's still peaceful. Yeah, that's a big if, isn't it? Hopefully, this mess will have all blown over by then. Um, Boy, there's so many places to see here. As you know, it's a very big country, and there's very distinct geographies and cultures. Cultures are different from place to place. There's so many historical things to see. The countryside is just absolutely beautiful in places. Um, I would say, at a minimum, you want to go to New York City and you want to go to Washington, D.C., um, just for the historical, educational, cultural benefit of seeing those places. Then you might want to go somewhere down in the South, um, maybe Miami, that area. I don't know if you like to be out in the countryside, but yeah, you could come out my way and you drive on the Blue Ridge Parkway to out in the Shenandoah Mountains west of here. It's beautiful. Um, Maybe go somewhere in Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Austin, Texas, maybe. You want to see the Grand Canyon, absolutely got to see the Grand Canyon. Um, Go to New Mexico, see the Painted Desert. That's fantastic. Arizona. Then you definitely got to go to California. It's just unbelievable. That's got to be on your bucket list to go to California. Okay. And if I had the time and the money, if I were you, I would start in San Diego, down at the very southern end of the state, and I would drive the whole length of that state. And I would make some stops, stop in LA, then San Francisco, and then further up towards Oregon, and just take in as much as you can. Hearst Castle is in California. It's just a magnificent place. And then if you really want to put a cherry on it, you want to put a cherry on the top, go to Alaska. It's not continental United States, but it is a state. And Alaska should be on every living human being's bucket list. Okay. It is magnificent beyond belief. Words and pictures just can't describe it. So that's my 2 cents. Um, yeah, a lot of it depends on how much you like countryside and how much you like cities. Okay. Because you can really easily divide your trip up, do a little bit of both or all of one, all of the other. Okay. Um, let's see. You're very knowledgeable. I'm doing psychology degree in England. I hope to have a job helping people too. Well, good for you. Excellent. Good for you. Is that, tell me, is that typical in England to get a degree in psychology that then leads to becoming a therapist? Here, what we do is we get our advanced degree, master's degree in counseling or social work, and then you have to intern for a couple of years. You're supervised, and people supervise you. They watch you and they give you cases and they see how you're doing, and you report to them and they monitor your progress. And so you have to do that for a couple of years. And at the end of that time, if you have progressed sufficiently, they give you, well, they don't give you, you will have earned a license. Okay. But you have to have a license to practice. Okay. Girl from the UK again. Thank you so much for the advice. It was really helpful. Good. I'm glad it helped. Okay. Gonna rent a car and drive for a month-ish. Okay. Yeah, I didn't think about that. It's a giant version of Norway, isn't it? I want to go to Norway. I want to go to the Scandinavian countries so bad. I want to get on one of those boats that goes up into the fjords. They do that in Alaska, by the way. Um, yeah, I'd love to go. I love it up there. I love the cold. Believe it or not, being born here in the South where it's hot. I lived in Vermont and Maine and New Hampshire, up in the northeast part of the United States where it gets much, much colder, and I loved it. I love to ski. So, all right. Yeah, right. That makes sense. Okay. Okay. You guys think we're done? Anybody got anything else they want to talk about? I'm going to post more frequently and ask you guys for your opinions. I really, really appreciated um, the feedback and the votes that I got on that poll. So I'm going to uh, do that more often. Get y'all's feedback. You can let me know what kind of um, videos you'd like to see. Sometimes people ask me for videos that are um, it's real clear to me that they're not going to appeal to the mass. Okay, it's something that's very specific to that one person, and I can't really do that. So I hope y'all understand. Some people do it, but they charge you for it, and I don't want to get into that. I don't think it's you know I don't know. I just don't want to do that. So I find these chats very soothing to listen to. Thanks a million. Okay. Well, that's interesting. That's very interesting because I think um, some other people have made some comments similar to that. One of the things that I hear a lot, and it surprised me, people think that I have a soothing voice, that they like to listen to the sound of my voice. And I never cared for it myself. But apparently, some people really like it. So, yeah, if this live stream, if you find it soothing, then that's great. This is, we can call this live stream ASMR, maybe. I don't know. Um, Maybe that's been done. I'm going to actually, the more I talk about it, the more I think I'm going to look into it. Wouldn't that be interesting? Live stream ASMR. Hmm, might be something. Huh? Okay. Let's see. Hope you get super popular. Appreciate your videos. Massage video got me hooked. And I'll stay and watch every video you post. Thank you. Thank you, Tomas. Appreciate it. Role plays like cashier or hotel desk. Okay. All right. I've seen other people do the hotel desk, but I hadn't seen a cashier before. Looking for some advice. How would you overcome overthinking? Hmm. Overthinking. Well, you have to know why you're doing it in the first place. Okay. Is your overthinking stopping you from taking action? Let's let's establish that first. Someone asked me earlier what to do about procrastination. If overthinking is causing you to delay or not take action, then it's a form of procrastination, isn't it? It's another way of saying, I don't have confidence and I'm scared to death I'll make a mistake. So rather than actually take the action, I'll just think about it and I'll think about it and I'll think about it until I drive myself crazy and everybody else, and I don't ever get anything done. So think of overthinking as a form of procrastination. Okay. So, one way to do that is to remind yourself that nothing has to be done perfectly. And the most important thing you can do is take the first step. Don't think that you have to begin and end something at the same time. You can't. Take a baby step. Identify one small baby step and do it. Do it. Take the step. If you take the action, the thoughts will follow. Okay. So that might be some help. Okay. How would you become more confident and overcome social anxiety? Okay. Well, you have to act yourself into confidence. Okay. You can't, like this other gentleman asked about overthinking, you can't sit in a chair and think about your problems and solve them and make them go away. It doesn't work that way. It would be nice if it did. The kind of therapy that I do, that's what most therapists do these days, is called cognitive behavioral therapy. And so it's a two-part type of therapy. The first part, the cognitive part, is the part that takes place in the office with the therapist most of the time. That's when you use your cognitive abilities, your brain, your intellect, to kind of grasp concepts and to understand things, terms, things like cognitive distortions and other things like that. That's the cognitive piece, getting the aha moment when you say, "Oh, now I understand why I do this instead of that." Okay, that's part of it. That's half of it, but it's only half. You can understand it all day. You can understand your social anxiety. You can understand where it comes from, how it started. You can understand a million things about it, but it doesn't make it go away. What makes it go away is the second half, the behavioral piece. And that's what people miss so often in therapy. They get the cognitive piece, but not the behavioral piece. Okay. So, how do you overcome social anxiety? You make yourself stick your hand out and shake hands. You make yourself approach people and speak to them. You make yourself do it. You don't have to carry on a big, long conversation. No, just make it easy. Make it easy for yourself. Tell yourself the next time you go to a business meeting or a party or any other kind of social gathering, you're going to approach two people, three people, who knows? And you're going to say hi, people you don't know. You're going to say, hello, I'm so and so. Shake the hand, glad to meet you. And if it's an attractive young lady or someone else you might be interested in, go up to them, say, introduce yourself. Hey, I'm so and so. I saw you across the room. You seem like a very interesting person. I just wanted to say hi. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Okay. You don't have to carry the conversation. That's they have a responsibility there. If they want to carry on the conversation, they will. They maybe they have social anxiety. Do you ever think about that? Maybe they're scared to come up and talk to you and they'd like to. Maybe you're helping them by coming up and introducing yourself. But here's the thing. Here's what I want to leave you with. Okay, think about this. Earlier, I talked about people having low self-esteem. Okay. And you really got to think about what that means. Maybe open a dictionary if they still use them, or go to AI and look up self esteem and see what that term means. The only way that you can improve your self esteem is by doing esteemable things. You want to feel good about yourself, you want to feel like you're a pretty nice guy, then you got to act like one. You got to think about other people. You got to get out of your own head, stop thinking about yourself so much, and start becoming aware of your environment, of the fact that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people all around you, and many of them have the same problems you do. You just don't know it. You can't see it. But you're no different from anybody else. And if you want to feel good about yourself, do things that make you feel good. Do things for other people. That's about the easiest way I can possibly explain it. And it doesn't have to be anything big. God forbid. Just find something little. You see somebody at the grocery store struggling to get a can off the top shelf, help them. Hey, say, hey, let me get that for you. And that's all. And they say, oh, thank you. I appreciate it so much. You don't worry about it. Just go. Go on about your business. You help somebody. The point is not what you did. The point is that you are not thinking about yourself in that moment. In that very moment when you helped that person, you were thinking about them. And taking the focus off of yourself and putting it on other people is a masterful way to decrease depression and to decrease anxiety. Because depression and anxiety are both the direct result of thinking about yourself too much. So you got to stop thinking about yourself. And the easiest way to do that is to find a way to think about other people. Find some activity that you can volunteer for and help other people. That's what I'm talking. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. Find a way to be of service to others, and your self-esteem will immediately start to improve. Okay. So I hope that's of some value. Well, this is an interesting question, okay? Did it surprise you that people can feel genuinely supported and calmer just from watching your videos, even though there's no direct interaction like in therapy? Well, that's an excellent question and a great observation. And I could get very philosophical or um, physics cycle about it. Um, but at one level, in the quantum level, there is no such thing as time and space. The fact is we are all one. Okay, we're no the appearance of being separate from each other is an illusion. It's not real. So when I put out energy in an attempt, and my motive is good, in an attempt to be of help to others, that bridges time and space. It leapfrogs it. That's my scientific explanation, okay? Having said that, I will also say that I think person to person, face to face is a little bit more beneficial. I think the energy transmission between two people is far greater when they're face to face, when you can read each other's face, you can see the nuances, you can observe a person's body language. Are their feet going like that? Are they fidgety? All kinds of things that you might not be able to see on here. So yeah, by and large, I far prefer face to face, no question about it. But chats, YouTubes, all of these things, they are also very beneficial, very beneficial. And if a person is sincere and honest, that comes across on the screen. I think I have to think that. I have to. Now, I've seen a bunch of these ASMR videos from some people, and when I watch them, I think to myself, God, this person's just trying to get clicks. That's all. They're I'm not buying it. I just don't buy it. It's an act, and I don't buy it. So that's just me. Okay. Anything I say is just my opinion. And you guys are absolutely free to agree or disagree all you want. Okay. What else we got? What kind of music do you like? Silly question. That's not a silly question. I like lots of different kinds of music. Um, I grew up on rock. I grew up on soul music. It was real popular when I was a teenager. And I never got much into heavy metal and acid rock. I never got into that too much. I stayed kinda with pop for the most part. Um, as I got older, I started to like different types, and right now, one of my favorite types of music is what they call Americana. It's not quite country. Um, it has a little blues taste to it, a lot of acoustic instruments in it, kind of country, kind of mountainish, maybe. A great example of Americana. If you want to know what Americana is, Google Lucinda Williams and a guy named Blaze Foley. They are Americana. Towns Van Sant. These are all Americana artists, okay? You might like it, you might not. I love Lucinda Williams, but now I'm going to tell you my absolute number one. This guy has provided the musical soundtrack to my life, and that's Jackson Brown. There's nobody I'd rather hear than Jackson Brown. And if you don't know him, I certainly encourage you to listen to some of his music, okay? Especially his earlier albums. He's been out making music since the 70s and he's still out touring. His um, lyrics are phenomenal, just phenomenal, okay? You gotta check him out before you check out. You gotta check him out, okay? Jackson Brown. All right. Uh, let's see. For me, overthinking causes sleepless nights, whether it's about my future, past, or even personal issues, both mentally and physically. It's just so tiring, to be honest. Okay. So you need to figure out a way not to do that, don't you? Okay. So a lot of ASMR videos provide you tips on things to do to stop the brain from thinking. Okay. You can't stop a thought from popping into your head. You just can't. The thoughts come, the thoughts come, the thoughts come. You can't stop it. Okay. But you do have a choice about what you're going to do with that thought when it pops into your head. What I suggest you do is observe the thought. So you're laying in bed and all of a sudden you think, oh my God, I didn't put any gas in the car today. I don't know if I've got enough gas to get to work. I might run out of gas. And if I run out of gas, I'll be late and the boss will be mad at me and he might fire me and blah, 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 blah. Right? We drive ourselves crazy with that kind of stuff. So, what I would suggest is you have a thought, God, I don't know if I got enough gas. Hmm, that's interesting. I don't know if I have enough gas. And then what happens? The thought disappears. It has no substance. It's ethereal. The thought appears, then it disappears. It vanishes into the ethers. It's gone. It was nothing. It had no substance. And you can prove that to yourself by just observing it. But we don't do that. We get a thought and we take off with it and we go to the next thought, to the next thought, to the next thought. And we don't have to. You don't have to do that. You can say, I'm thinking about running out of gas. Isn't that interesting? Oh, well. And then it's gone. It's gone. Another one's going to come sooner or later. Another thought's going to come. You do the same thing. Do the same thing. You don't have to. Now, this is a subject for another day, and I'll talk about this more at length. Um, but part of our problem is that we over identify with our thoughts. Okay, we think that we are our thoughts, and we're not. We're something completely different from our thoughts. Our thoughts come out of nowhere from our brain, and they go disappear from nowhere to nowhere. They have no substance. You are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are just your thoughts. They don't have any power. The only power they have is what you give them. If you don't give it power, if you don't allow it to make you anxious, if you refuse to entertain the thought, it'll go away. It will. It has to. It has no power of its own. Okay. So overthinking. Okay. Your brain needs a peaceful place to land. Right now, it's just flitting all around, going from one random thought to the next. So find a mantra, a thought, okay, that you can repeat. I am peaceful. I am calm. I love myself and I have great value. And just keep repeating that over and over, over and over. Eventually, you'll get tired and you'll fall asleep. And then you're going to realize one of these days that your thoughts are nothing. They should have no control over you whatsoever. Okay. All right. What's good? Your voice and your exquisite, detailed carefulness is very soothing. Just show your toolbox explaining each tool, or show your kitchen and explain why you use it. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, Pantera, it's 1:27 a.m. where I'm from. All right. So are you paying attention to me or are you thinking about yourself? Yeah, it's almost 2 a.m. It's time to go to bed, bro. Get some sleep, man. Get some sleep. Here's a little tip. Start, get in bed and do a body scan, okay? And a body scan is simply starting at your toes and imagining trying to discover where the stress is in your body. Where are you tense and tight? Where are your muscles tight? You start with your toes and work up your feet, your ankles, your calves, your thighs, your stomach, your chest, your arms, your neck, your face, forehead, scalp. Where are you holding tension? For a lot of people, it's in their shoulders. Okay. That's why you have stiff shoulders. So do that. Start at your toes, work all the way up to the top of your head, and then start over. Do it again. Then do it again. Keep doing it. And before you know it, you're going to be sound asleep. And you won't even know it happened. Okay. Let's try it. You got nothing to lose. That's right. That's right, my man. The moment you identify your problem, half the job is done. That's exactly right. All right. Okay, guys. Been at it for a while now. I'm getting a little hoarse. So I think I'm going to call it a night. Before I sign off, a couple of you, I want to appreciate it again, express my appreciation for joining a membership. I appreciate it very much. I hope you guys will be led to join the club, become a member. You'll be entitled to some members only perks like sneak previews, things of that nature. So if you feel moved, I would appreciate you doing that. And I'm going to use the money to buy some equipment, pay for the graphic design work and whatnot that I had for the t-shirts. So yeah, if you feel like it, buy me a cup of coffee. I know you Europeans, I love you guys. You sit outside and drink your coffee outdoors, and it doesn't matter how cold it is. Us Americans are way too soft for that, man. If it gets chilly, we go inside. You guys don't. You put on a coat and sit outside. I love you, man. I love that. I think it's awesome. Okay, guys. Let's see. Okay, I'm out of here. Y'all have a good night. Check out my new video, just came out today, and I'll have another one out next Tuesday. All right, talk to you later.